What if I told you that in just a few weeks you could be reading the Old Testament in Hebrew, the New Testament in Greek? You'd probably think I was trying to sell you something, and yeah, you'd be right. It's only a few dollars for the ebook, a few dollars more for the paperback, or if you want, you can download a free PDF off the website and print it out yourself. And by it, I mean the 200-word system, a way to experience the Greek and Hebrew scriptures in a way that's both authentic and accessible, and enjoyable too. I'll tell you more about how it works in just a second, but first, let me tell you about what doesn't work, or at least what did not work for me. Giving up doesn't work. Learning a language is hard. I know this because I'm really bad at it. The French I took in high school, the Latin I studied on my own, nothing came easy. And at least those languages have familiar alphabets, not like Hebrew and Greek. But I wanted to read the Bible in the original languages, so I bought a book and I learned about declensions, tenses, gender, number, mood, all of which are important, but none of which I was able to remember, which is frustrating and not what I wanted. I don't want to study the languages themselves. I want to use them to read the Bible. So, because the best way to do something is to do it, I sat down with the text and a dictionary, translation by brute force, word by word, putting in the time, making progress, and getting stuck. I can't find this word in the dictionary because it's a special form of that word. But how was I supposed to know that? And I can't find this word in the dictionary either, but I don't really need to. That word doesn't add much meaning to the sentence, which is obvious if you know Greek, but it was a surprise to me. And here's a word I was able to find. But wait, I found that before, many times before. Why can't I remember it? Is this one of the words I'm supposed to memorize? That's when I discovered the interlinear text. I still remember how excited I was when I took this home. Someone had done all that work for me, each word translated. Finally, I could access the Bible in the original language. I sat down to read, and I did read, in English. This was so close to what I wanted, but I still was not really engaging with the Hebrew or the Greek. That text was there, but really for me it was little more than a decoration. And at least one thing, I no longer had to struggle to find words in the dictionary. These strong concordance numbers made that easy. It's helpful for the Greek. It's a lifesaver for the Hebrew. And the concordance allowed me to study individual words, which again was interesting, but not really what I wanted. I wanted to read the Bible in the original language. So I pulled together pieces from all these efforts into the 200-word system, a way to bridge the gap in 3 steps. Number 1, memorize 200 words. You can do it. Don't give up. Number 2, the original text has been modified, simplified with words that you memorized. Number 3, for the rest of the words, there is an interlinear translation based on the King James. Here is an example, and another, and one more, and we'll get back to those in a bit. First, though, let's take a closer look at those 3 steps. The 200 Hebrew words and 200 Greek words were chosen because they and their close relatives are the most frequently used. Each word you memorize appears hundreds or thousands of times in the Bible. There are resources available at this website, videos for pronunciation, online flashcards, all the help you need to master these words. You can do it. And the better you know them, the more enjoyable your reading experience will be. The 200 words are included also at the beginning of the book for quick reference. There's another table in the back of the book which gives even more information about how these words are used. And the original text has been modified. What? That's outrageous. Well, hear me out on this one. We'll start with the Hebrew, where words are constructed around a 2 or 3 letter root. In many cases, this easier to recognize root word can stand in for the original word without altering the meaning of the text. Greek words are also built around a base. The complicated ending expresses a precise relationship and thrills grammarians. So yes, the text is modified, simplified, and you could argue that what you'll be reading is not, quote, really the Bible. Okay, guilty. In that case, use this system as a stepping stone to the real, unmodified text. This text includes interlinear translations for the rarer Greek and Hebrew words, the one you don't memorize, because there is a huge difference between knowing all the vocabulary and knowing enough to get started. Equally helpful are these words which you don't need to translate: articles, pronouns, things like that. And that's all you need. You're ready to start enjoying the Bible because you're already familiar with the story. You're not reading to find out what happens to Abraham. You're not trying to solve the mystery of which apostle betrays Jesus. You already know the plot. This is your chance to dive deeper. So keep an English Bible within close reach in case you get stuck, or skim through the chapter in English first and then go to the Hebrew or the Greek. Try it. I use it. It's fun. I'm gaining insights into familiar passages. I'm finding connections that are lost in translation, and after a decade of false starts, I am reading the Bible in the original languages. And part of the reason I'm excited about this is because it's fun. Recognizing things is fun. Shapes, patterns, faces, that moment of recognition is a positive experience. And this system involves lots of recognizing, word after word, putting them together into familiar verses. Try it. You may find out that you're spending more time with God's Word, carefully going through each verse without getting bored. And thank you for listening to my pitch. Now, let's see this process in action. Let's take a closer look at a few different passages, 2 in Hebrew and 2 in Greek, starting with Genesis 2:17. But of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil thou shalt not eat of it, for in the day that thou eatst thereof thou shalt surely die. The Hebrew text and the modified text. Noticing 3 words are unmodified. Those are the ones with the interlinear translations to help you move through the verse. The other 10 words have been modified. But what does that mean? Let's take a look. Starting at the beginning, recognizing a base. Tree is one of the 200 words you'll memorize. Another word, another base, to know. The third word is, I guess, technically unmodified. Good, evil, not, to eat, from, for, day, to eat. Hey, wait a minute. We've seen that word before. And notice that the words are different in the original text. The one on top is imperfect, no offense, and the one on the bottom is infinitive, whatever that means. These grammatical details are washed out of the simplified text. Of it, to die, to die. What? A literal translation could be to die the death. The King James renders it surely die. Looking at it word for word, and remembering that you already know the story, this is a Hebrew text you can read. Once you memorize the 200 words, in this case, you'll need to know 8 words. And here's a peek at what the reference sheet looks like for those 8 words. And here's another verse, Genesis 4:1. And Adam knew Eve his wife, and she conceived and bare Cain, and said, I have gotten a man from the Lord. This time 6 of the 14 words are unmodified. Starting at the beginning, man, Adam, or ground. This word can, does, and will mean all these things in the text. To know. Did you recognize that from the previous verse? With some time, you will recognize these words. Fun fact, this is not a translator's euphemism. Next word, Eve. Proper names have their meanings given. A man. More on this one later. Conceived, to give birth. Cain, to say, to buy. A man from the Lord. Okay, it's close, but the verse says Adam knew Eve his wife, and the modified text says something different. It calls Eve, quote, a man. You check the reference list at the front of the book and it says a man. But then you remember that expanded glossary in the back to see all the different words that this root can stand in for. And this is a subtle point. The Hebrew root word really means a man. But in the modified text, this root word replaces words with a constellation of meanings, including woman and wife. Still, though, assuming that you remember that Eve is a woman, you can decode the text in Hebrew. Matthew 3:13, moving to the New Testament in Greek. Now then cometh Jesus from Galilee to Jordan unto John to be baptized of him. 7 of the 17 words are unmodified, 5 articles and 2 proper names. Let's dive in. When. The next is a compound word. We'll break it into two pieces. Besides, to become. Jesus, away from. Galilee, on or upon. Jordan, towards or unto. Look at all those prepositions. Well, welcome to Greek. John, to baptize. Under himself. The meaning is accessible. The flow of the text is preserved, even if some grammatical intricacies are smoothed out. One final example, Matthew 6:24. No man can serve two masters, for either he will hate the one and love the other, or else he will hold to the one and despise the other. Ye cannot serve God and mammon. Again, that's the King James. Other translations have money or wealth, and mammon is one of the unmodified words. And we can see there are several of them, but these 7 words are translated just so you can pretty much ignore them. They are necessary to tease out the meaning of the text, but they're not words that we should get stuck on. In other words, they are untranslated but not rare. These 4 words are more rare, and the rest of the words you'll recognize, at least in the modified text. That is, you'll recognize them once you've memorized the 200 words. And this one here is a special case. It is both modified and translated. The goal, once again, being an experience with the original languages that is, at the same time, authentic and accessible. So thanks again for your time and your consideration. Check out the system for free at the website. And let me know if you're interested in helping to translate one of the remaining 64 books, because I could use the help.